This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, it's a brand new year, and we're going to start out the new year absolutely in the right fashion. We've got a wonderful author, singer, songwriter, performer. She's done some great things in her life. She's with us for the entire hour, and we're going to talk to her. And by the way, as just a bit of a tease, she was on a famous program in their inaugural seasons, and maybe was one of the reasons why they were on the air for so many years, because of the type of singer that she is. And first of all, I got to talk to Nathan, though. Nathan, how are you?
Good afternoon. Of course you got to talk to me. I haven't seen you all year. Where have you been?
I know. It's been such a long time.
For real.
It's been such a long time. And it's great to be here. Like I said, it's 2023. It's a brand new year, and but I do have to make one small statement, and I hope this isn't too much of a downer, but over the weekend, I understand that Dory Monson, who was he was on Cairo for when I was doing my show in 2003, he was doing 3 hours a day at the same time frame on Cairo, and he passed away at the age of 61 rather suddenly. And so I just want to say, that we all mourn him. I did not agree with him politically, but that doesn't matter because he was a professional at what he did and cared about his craft, and was there for a long time. And my heart goes out to his wife and his 3 daughters. He led a good life, and I heard about that, Nathan, over the weekend, and I was like, no. That can't be.
Especially at that young of an age.
I know. But, those things happen. And so you live your life every day to the fullest, and to make sure, and just another reminder, never leave your house without telling the people that you love them, and make sure you give people hugs and stuff, because you never know when it's going to be your time and you're not going to be able to do that anymore. So again, Dory Monson passed away, and our condolences from, I believe, everybody at KKNW, that we are, our condolences to him and his family. So given that, but we are very, very lucky today, because we've got a young lady, and she's still a very young lady, but she was on American Idol in their first season, and you may remember her name, Christina Christensen. Is that right?
Christian.
Yeah. Christina Christian, and that's right. Now it's Christina Christian Cewe. She's an author. She's got a beautiful children's book. But I got to talk to you. I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about American Idol. That was a remarkable period in your life. You were just barely out of your teens, weren't you?
Yeah, I had just turned 21, so it was a very adventurous time in my life.
Being 21 and then because you were in the top 10, didn't they take you on tour?
We did. We went on tour. I actually was one of the 4 that had a record deal with the company, and put a record together, and was able to really have fun in the career for a couple of years before I decided to settle down with my then husband, who was my fiance during the show.
Now, I have to ask you, because very few of us ever get the opportunity to do what you did there, and to go on a national show like that. And it was the first season, so you didn't know how successful it was going to be, did you?
No, I mean, my husband's like, oh my God, there's this show, you should audition. And we auditioned, and it was like, you're in college, try this, and you just go for it. Right. And, we heard it was the first season. We heard there was going to be a lot of work for us to do, which there was. We had early mornings where we'd wake up and film commercials. Remember those Ford commercials? If you saw those Ford Edge commercials at the time, and doing early morning talk shows. So it was really a fast introduction to Hollywood. and that Hollywood life. And we really contributed to the success of the show. We knew we had to make it a success. We heard about it. I don't want to say the pressure was on, but the pressure was on.
Of course. Well, yeah. And with Simon Cowell there and Paula and the third, yes.
Yeah. Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson, who is a producer of a big time producer.
Yes.
And Paula, of course, Paula Abdul was a singer songwriter, well, mostly a singer, and stuff. And then Mr. Cowell, and we were talking beforehand, and you said Mr. Cowell was actually a very nice, unlike his persona. Sometimes he's a very nice individual. Very nice.
He's a straight shooter, and I think that's who he was on the show. Good, bad, or indifferent. Like if you were having a bad day, like I had a bad day, and he was like, that just wasn't great. And then on my days that he thought I was great, he told me. And I think everybody felt like there was authenticity with him, and that was nice. Like you knew where you stood.
Well, and I have to tell you, because Nathan is a wizard that he has been able to pull up a clip of you singing. Can we play that?
Well, we got a few options. I got Ain't No Mountain, At Last, and
Ain't No Sunshine. That was like the big one, but
okay, let me find that. Oh yeah, I got it here.
That would be fun. That would be fun, and to take you back, because this was what year was this?
2002, so long ago.
Oh, come on! It wasn't that long ago. I was doing the radio back then in 2002, but it's
to be 21 again. That's what I think about. I'm like, to be 21, like.
Boy, wasn't well, and let's play this clip, because I want to ask you, what was it like having, all those people cheering for you, and then people holding your coat and riding in a limousine and doing, I assume, all of those things, the red carpet and all of those things that you participated in. That would be really heady stuff for a 21-year-old.
It definitely was. It was kind of like when you have a child and you're looking at life through their eyes, like going through that was kind of like all the celebrities that you saw and you followed. Like, obviously we didn't have social media, but like you saw them in the magazines, and the celebrities that I was obsessed with as a young child, you're like, wow, this is kind of what they went through, right? We weren't at that level, but it was really neat to experience. And to also see the other side of it, which is, it could be stressful for celebrities, right? Like it's something that sometimes you're thrown into, and there's a lot of things that are unexpected that come at you. And it's a very different world than normal life.
Boy, no kidding. So anyway, so this is Christina Christian, and this is, the name of the song again is?
Was this Ain't No, oh, sorry. I'll let Nathan say it. I don't know which one he's pulling up.
Oh, we got Ain't No Sunshine.
Very good. And this is from American Idol.
Ain't no sunshine when he's gone. It's not warm when he's away. Ain't no sunshine when he's gone. And he's always gone too long. Anytime he goes away, I wonder this time where he's gone. I wonder if he's gonna stay. Ain't no sunshine when he's gone, and his house just ain't no home. Anytime he goes away, and I know.
That is Christina Christian. And I got to tell you, boy, do you have some pipes on you.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Do you still sing like that from time to time in the cars?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I've done stuff after leaving Idol. Like, obviously, I was in the business for about 5 years, like doing acting and singing, and then had my first child and did some stuff after that for people and traveled and did work. But you never lose your love. If you love singing, you always sing. And so I still do. And my middle son is actually a singer, and loving seeing him develop his voice. So
that's pretty cool.
Really.
That is really cool, because you also kept your feet on the ground and didn't let it get to your head, and you wanted to have a family, and so you wanted to build a family unit, and so that's what you did. I think that's awesome.
I give the credit to my husband, though, to be honest. Like, I wasn't somebody that was like, oh, I need to have children. He was really like, I want to have this family. I want to have children. And he wanted to have 10. And I said, no. But, we ended up with 3, which was nice. But yeah, we've built a nice life, and it's really wonderful. We just actually came back from a drive. We're celebrating 19 years of marriage tomorrow.
Congratulations.
So we just took like a couple hours and went driving and just looking at the ocean. I love sunsets. So we just saw this magnificent sunset on our way back. And those are the things we enjoy, just chasing light and giving light and being light in each other's lives.
19 years can be a long time, but it doesn't have to be. What's your secret to keeping your marriage vibrant?
You know, I say chasing adventures together, because we've been together 24 years. We met the first day of college in 1999. So we're going on 24 years dating or being together. And you're going to have ups. We've had great ups. We're in an up, down. We've had downs. We've had stressful times. I mean, having kids is not easy, but I think it's communication, understanding that, you know, you're different people and that you have to grow separately as well as growing together. And just being adventurous. We love to travel and we love to plan things. And we're always like, both of us are always keen on celebrating life, right? And just enjoying every day. So he doesn't stop me from going after things that I want. I don't stop him from going after things that he wants, you know, and just enjoying life together. I don't think there's any secret, but that's what we do.
No, but that is a secret in and of itself, because as you're growing, you know, you get married and you're in your early 20s and stuff, and you're not grown yet. It takes a while for you to grow up, and you really don't grow up until you're in your 30s somewhere. And so working together and growing up, a lot of people, because they don't keep that relationship centered in their world, they grow up and then grow up separately, and then they grow up apart, and then they don't take the time to stay together, and that takes work in and of itself, doesn't it?
A lot of work, and I think, like, especially when we were younger, and if you look at Hollywood, right? Hollywood glamorizes the fantasy, and a lot of times we've talked about, even my friends and his friends, like, it's not like the fantasy is really the work that you put in, like the ups and the downs, and sticking through it, because it's a lot of work. Life itself is a lot of work. Relationships out of, you know, like having a best friend or parent-child relationships, like that all takes work. And I think sometimes we think that like a husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend should be easy all the time. And we have this misconception that should be easy. And I think that's what throws a lot of people. They're like, oh my God, it was supposed to be easy. It's not, you know, a fairy tale all the time. And understanding that and realizing that things might get really rough. You might wake up one day and not like the person for like a month or 2 months or a year, right? But that's okay. Like you've chosen this commitment, and choosing to love the person and choosing to be with the person means that you're choosing to deal with the bad stuff and the good stuff, you know, throughout life.
You know, interesting you say that, because I was watching an interview with Michelle Obama, And she said, when the children were little, I went 10 years and I didn't like him at all.
I feel her.
Now they've been married for 30 years, and she said we got through it. But there was a period when I thought he was not my good friend at all. And but when you have that commitment and you can make it through it, at the end of the day, it's better than it would have ever been. If you'd have broken up. But in any event, enough of that. I'm just so happy that you're here. I could talk to you for hours. It's really important, but we're here for a reason. And the reason that we're here is we're going to talk about the book that you've read, which is a children's book. And I just love the title of it. Share the title of it with everybody.
I believe in me. Do you believe in you? I'll show you really quick.
Yeah.
It's been a beautiful, I would say, just beautiful project, because it started out of just wanting my eldest son, who's just turned 17 Christmas Eve, when he was 2.5. You're starting out in life. You're starting out with these little peewee sports, and you're doing all these things, and you're teaching him to count. And it's the first kid, right? So you're trying to do everything fast. But you realize, like, kids need confidence. Like, they need to be confident, and you need to, as a parent, to build that confidence in them. So I had written a poem for him to build that confidence. And that's what this started out as, was a poem. And I wanted to truly build that narrative of belief in self. And I thought about turning it into a book many times. Finding an illustrator is hard. A good illustrator that can take your ideas out of your head and produce them the way you see them in your mind, right? And it took me a long time, but.
And this was produced, or it was illustrated by Ross Webb. I'm just trying to get that.
Yes, and she's from Ireland, and she's amazing.
Very cool.
Literally, like, she was like this 5th person that I found, and I had gone through 3 or 4 iterations. I'd paid other illustrators, and she just got me. She totally got me, and we were able to do it, like, during COVID. I call this one of the COVID blessings. There were some tough times during COVID, but this was a blessing for me to be able to complete it, to find somebody, to connect with somebody, and to be able to provide this for others. So it's been fun.
Well, the premise of the book, I believe in me. Do you believe in you? Is a horribly important, especially for young people as they're growing up. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to achieve everything that you came here to do.
Right.
And it really is important. What made you think about? I know that you had the poem, and then you thought, well, maybe I could do more, and then it became a book.
So when I wrote it, we used to say it all the time, right? My son and I and my husband, and I was like, somebody that was like, this would be good for other people. And I was like, I agree. But I didn't know that process. I knew idol and singing, but I was 28 years old at the time. And I'm like, what's the process of publishing? And things were just different then. It was a lot harder. So I did get it copywritten. I started looking into illustrations, but, I always felt, I'm like, this message, I used it for my other 2 kids as well. And I was like, we all need this, regardless if you're a child or an adult, because you meet adults that don't have the belief in themselves, right, to do things. And I looked at my life and I was like, why was I able to, when my husband came to me and said, oh, there's a show, you should try out for it, not think twice about doing it. And it was really because my parents always they instilled that confidence in me. And they always said, you can do anything that you want to do. You just have to work hard and believe you can do it. So I had heard that my whole life. And I was like, that's why I was able to accomplish so many of my dreams. That's why I wasn't or didn't succumb to fear when chasing dreams that I had, because fear isn't bad, right? You get nervous. You're like, oh my God, can I really do this? But if you have that narrative of belief in yourself, you say yes to the fear. I feel the fear. I'm going to do it anyway. Right. And that comes from the confidence in the narrative of belief. So I think it was just years of saying this is needed. And then you go through COVID and just the mental health that you saw, and I saw it within my family. I saw it within friends, family that I knew, it took a toll on all of us. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was if we're going to get through tough times, we need to have a strong belief in self for anything. for you to get up the next day. You see people that are struggling to get up, right? Like the next day. Why? Right. And I just wanted to give, the idea that I had, which I felt worked for my family and worked for me, to others.
It's amazing how many people that are walking around in our world that did not have the luxury of that growing up. And they had difficult times, and they did not have people that believed in them like your parents believed in you. And so generationally, your parents believed in you, you believe in your kids, and so it's continued on through several generations. But there are other people that could benefit from this message because some of them have never heard this, if you can believe it.
And it's amazing because since it's been out, I've heard things like that. There was a parent that said, this is the first time I've been able to have the conversation with my child, right? And like you say, like my parents taught me this. So it was easy in a way for me to teach my children this, this belief in self. But if you've never heard that, it's not an easy thing, right? To start the conversation. So for the mom that said that, like, this book allowed me to have that conversation with my child was really touching, because you don't realize, like, I'm getting chills, but like, yes, when things come easy and you have it, sometimes you take that for granted and not realizing how many people didn't have that. And it wasn't because their parents were bad people or whatever, but they might not have been taught that. Right. And like you said, it's generations. If the generation before you wasn't taught that, and if you didn't learn it within your generation, the chances of you teaching the next generation is slim. So, or none. Right.
Because it's vital, and it's really, in my opinion, it's vital that we change our thought pattern about that. Because part of the problem is that, young people are the ones who have children, and young people don't know a whole lot, and they only know what they've been taught from the previous generation. And so if you want to make a change in your family, somebody has to begin that change, and it's got to be when you have the ability to make change in others. And that's what I love about the book that you've written. I was just thinking to myself, this book has the potential to help more people than when you were singing on American Idol.
I hope so. I mean, I think the message, not to take anything away from Idol, but I think the message is definitely stronger and more impactful, right?
I couldn't agree more. And somebody's going to pick it up. Matter of fact, Nathan, why don't we open up the phone lines? Because, I'm hogging Christine all to myself. And I really, if you have a question for her about the book, about anything that she's done, we'll take your call, and Nathan will vet you clearly to make sure that you have only good. He'll take care of you, Christine. I promise. Nathan, what number shall we have them give? Give them the right number this time.
What, did I give them the wrong number last time? Did they end up calling like a pizza joint and wondering why they were getting a pizza ordered or something like that?
Exactly. That would be that. We should do that sometime. That would be fun.
All right. Anyway, to give us a call at Positive Talk Radio to call in and ask Christina Cewe a question, a children's book author, you can call us at 425-373-5527 or toll free at 1-888-298-5569.
Now, I also wanted to ask you about something else that you are doing, young lady, and that is, I'm to the point now where I can call everybody young. So, but you also work with, you encourage the growth of women in technology. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I work within the technology field, and I've been in this field for about 12 years. We are looking for more women to enter it because it's a field that is male dominated. Nothing is wrong with that, but it is definitely a field that stimulates your mind. It's one that allows you and has allowed me to be financially successful, be impactful, be there for my family. Just the way the technology field works a lot of times you work from home, right? So it's allowed us for years prior to COVID to have like that work-life balance. And it's fun. Like the company I work for created content delivery, CDN. So the ability to stream, which impacts our life, right?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. So I worked for the company Akamai for about 7 years, and we impact your daily life. We secure your life. We allow this to happen, right? Zoom technology wouldn't have been here without content delivery technology. So I hope more women are less intimidated by the field and embrace it and come into it. And so I'm always evangelizing for more women to come into our field.
Now, I don't know if this is politically correct or not, but I'm just going to say it anyway. And that is that I believe that when we have any field that's dominated by one sex versus the other, that we're missing out on the wondrous variety of thought and expression and understanding that can come from both sexes at the same time. And I think that we as a society would be better off if we had more diversity and more equality, including that, by the way, women should be getting the same pay as men. But stuff. Am I being politically incorrect, or do you agree with that?
No, Kevin, I wish, the whole world thought like you, right? Like there's a beautiful thing, like just what you're saying, and then in the diversity of people, we all have different experiences. And when we're able to bring that to the table, there's different problems that can be solved because of the experiences that either I have or you have or somebody else, right? We all bring that knowledge. And I think releasing the fear and just saying, how can we find a solution together, to me is the better way to do it.
Oh, I agree. Now, in the last hour, I was talking to my guest about the value of our experiences through life, and how our experiences make who we are. And there's a lot of things in life that I could be. Being a pregnant mom ain't one of them. So there are things that I'll never know about, but there are other people that I can rely upon who do know about the experiences that they've had that I haven't had. And we can work together to achieve a better outcome for everybody if we work together for that. And at least I'll get off to my soapbox now.
No, but like you can't be a pregnant mom, but you can be the vessel to communicate to other pregnant moms the, opinions of other, providing that information that's somebody might need. Like you never know what you can teach somebody. And I'm a big, really, I learn something new from anyone every day. Like I really believe it doesn't matter what background, where you come from, what you're doing, whether you're a CEO, janitor, whatever, right? Like I feel like I can learn something from everyone every day. You always have the ability to learn from someone. And so I don't think you need to necessarily have the experience, but if you've learned from somebody else's experience, you can always share it with somebody else.
And that is really the point of, I think the point of why we're here is to help each other understand everybody's experiences, because no two people have the same exact experience, but we can all work together. But as an example, your parents treated you in a certain way that benefited you greatly as you matured and grew up. So somebody needs to take that, who is about ready to have children, and to use that model to buy your book, and because it will help them change the generational structure of their family going forward, and that could change everything for generations to come. It's a big deal.
It's all about giving light, right? And my light, I feel, why was I provided the parents I was provided, right? And it could be for this exact reason, like to give back what I was given, right? To pay it forward. And I tell my parents every day, like, you guys gave me such a great blueprint that I rely on, right? I always tell my mom, if I can be half the mom she was, I'm doing something good, right? And my father is, to this day, an advisor for me. I mean, every day we talk, and as I got older, I didn't realize how many people didn't have that, especially from both parents. Some might have had it from one, and a lot of people just didn't have that. And that for me is something that I realize and want to give back to others. Like I've always been somebody, like, I'm a helper, right? Like I always want to help others and I want to share. And that's really why I wrote, because this isn't anyway going to make me rich or take care of my bills. This is really, I call it my passion project. Like I self-published this. I took on this cost because I felt like the message is so important. I've seen it impact my children, and I've seen this message impact my cousins because our family, believes this. And I think it's important for our world to have belief, like for our children to believe in themselves.
I couldn't agree more. And what the interesting thing is, and I was just sitting here thinking, going, boy, are you a grounded person? You are really grounded in your faith and who you are, what you believe, your family, everything about you. And I was thinking, gosh, you were 21 years old when you were on Idol. You were traveling the country with a troupe of people and were performing in front of thousands of people. There are people that were in Idol that did not do as well with that, and they didn't handle it very well. What was it? Was it your parents' upbringing that allowed you to handle it with the amount of grace and style that you did, and didn't go off the deep end and do some of the things that some of the others did?
I definitely have to give it to my mother, my father, my grandmother who passed on when I was 13, was somebody too. But there was a couple of us, I remember this one time where Kelly and I wanted to see our parents. And at the first season, we weren't really allowed to see anybody. I don't know if this has been talked about before, and Kelly and I were like, we're not going to go on that stage unless they let us see our family.
But by the way, we're talking about Kelly Clarkson, aren't we?
Kelly Clarkson, yeah. So we stood together and we're like, we're not going to do anything else unless you let us see our family, because our family, her mom was there visiting, and we hadn't seen our families for weeks, and we wanted that. We needed that. And we stood our ground, and they allowed us. And Kelly is probably, she's so down to earth. She is one of the people, when I first met her and the first time I heard her sing, I actually said it. I'm like, she's got this. Just an incredible human being and just a fantastic voice. But again, she was so grounded, and it was just look, you have to stay true to who you are, because that's who people see, right? I unfortunately was sick during the show. It was tough for me because I didn't know I have a condition that I found out about when I was about 28 years old that I didn't know that I had during the show. And she was somebody that helped me find my strength during the show.
Has she invited you on her show, her daytime show, to talk about the book?
It's funny. We were supposed to we haven't reached out to her about the book yet, but I did do something for her show about 3 years ago. I think was it during or right before COVID happened, where we were supposed to go out there. They didn't have the budget, but 3 of us filmed a video, and she sent us questions and wanted us to answer them. And we did that. And then it was cute. She did this, what would they be? She saw me. She's something on Instagram. She's like, I see Christina being a presidential candidate. I don't think I'll ever run. That's just not my thing. But that's what she said a couple of years ago. But she's just always been a good person. She really is a very kind person, super talented. And I love seeing the success that she's having.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. And she's handling it well. And it's just amazing to me that at 21 that you can end up doing what you're doing and being and having a great life and being an author now. Are you going to write more books?
So I do have another book that Ross Webb, the illustrator, is working on right now, and it's called Little Cub's Happiness Quest, and it's about finding what does happiness mean to you, right? And helping children talk about what is happiness, right? Because I think we're constantly told you should be happy, but what is happiness? And it's a good conversation starter and a book that discovers that happiness is different for different people, right?
Explain that.
Well, think about it, right? What makes me happy might be different to what makes you happy, but sometimes in the media we're told it should be the same thing, right?
True.
And so with teaching children when they're young, listen, if rolling around in the grass makes you happy or climbing a tree, be happy with that. My happiness might be, singing. My happiness might be something completely different to yours. And that's okay. And so that's what the book is about. It's a funny, adventurous, story. My kids love it. They were like cracking up about what it means to them.
That is just awesome, because those are the two things. If you believe in yourself and you can be happy, you're going to have a great life.
And that's what I'm hoping that many people can get, take from that. And kids for generations are able to live a happy, fun life. Because I felt like I've done that. Like I've had hard times, and being happy and having a good life does not mean life doesn't get hard. Right. That might be another book that I write. But, you have to realize that like you are the one that gets you through things, right? Like you have to, if you dig deep, and you can get yourself through tough times. And I've had some times.
Well, that's the thing. That's part of the human experience. Yes. Is that we all at times are going to have tough times. I had what I like to call my bad country music song period. When it was like, my dad died, my dog died, my wife left, I had lost a house, all of those things, and they happen to you. It's how you deal with them, and that makes a difference. Right. Are you going to just sit there and poo-poo yourself and say, "Oh, woe is me" for the next 20 years, or are you going to rise above it? We all have the ability to do either one we want.
Right. And sometimes we don't know how to, right? It's teaching others to like what they need to do, what might be helpful for them to be able to rise above it.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
helping to contribute.
Absolutely. It's very important. And so that's your second book. What's going to be your third?
I don't know. I have to think about that. But the second one, I definitely around happiness. And maybe the third is talking about the ups and downs of life. Give me ideas, Kevin.
How about, let me think about it while we're talking, because it's, I got to tell you, it's wonderful to have you here. You are so down to earth. And when I first read your bio, it was like, we'll see. But you are just such a wonderful human being, and I applaud you. And that means that your kids love you. Your parents think the world of you, I'm sure.
They're not. They're great parents. I'm not going to even play it down. No, they're fantastic. They really are. But
they believe in you and always have.
Yes.
What kind of grandparents are they?
They're amazing. My mom is actually, so it's been a busy December. I have a new nephew. His name is Ethan. He was born December 13th. And my mom and dad have been with him every day. And my parents are divorced, but they are wonderful co-grandparents, and they're very supportive they've always been supportive of my children, and they're supportive of my brother's children as well.
Does your dad have change in his pocket for the children?
They're always, both my grandmother and their grandmother and grandpa, my mom and dad are always they have to bribe somehow.
I got some money in my pocket for these children. Come over here. And that is great fun. Where do you see yourself going? Is there a chance that you're going to go back and do some more singing and maybe cut a record?
I've had opportunities to. I think once I have a couple more years. I just need to get my last child situated to where I know she's going to be okay. And then I could dive into it again. But I do write. I constantly write. I have songs. I wasn't fully out of contract until 2014 and then 2019, where I actually had the rights to my music that I'd written before. That's how serious our contracts were. Well,
congratulations, though. That's important.
Yeah. So I think now it's, as we go through this period, it's learning what avenues I have and how to proceed. But I would never.
You're in tech, and so you've got a good career in that. You've been a singer. You can do. You're an author. I believe that you believe in the title of your book. I believe in me. Do you believe in you?
I do.
You believe in yourself, don't you?
100%. And I believe I could do anything that I put my mind to. So it's really the focus, right? When I'm ready and I'm focused on that, I'll do it.
And I know we talked about this, and there's somebody in the audience that's going, Well, okay, your parents were nice people, but it can't be that simple.
Listen, it's when I tell you, if we had hours, I could tell you that I have lost people. I've had a nervous breakdown. I have been on the biggest stage. I have failed on the biggest stage, right? I didn't win American Idol, but I've had to sing on American Idol when I was sick, and that's not easy. I've had a performance that I wasn't thrilled about because I was ill, right? So I've been through big, bad moments that should have broken me throughout life. And it comes down to the narrative of belief that I have because my parents provided that to me. They taught me to believe in myself. My grandmother taught me to believe in myself. And that's why I was able to get through some of those tough moments. So that's why, to me, it's so important, right? As kids go through school, you have the mean girls and the mean boys, right? Like they go through all these tough times throughout life. But if they know that what they want to do with their life, that they're capable of doing because of them, then all that noise fades and they get to focus on what they want to do for themselves and they get through it.
I got to ask you, because you are in the process of having teenagers that are in school today. It's been a while since I've had kids in school. What's it like these days? Is it as tough as I perceive it? It is?
It's hard. I mean, I have a high schooler. He's a junior. I have a 7th grader and I have a 5th grader. So those are all very tough ages. Kids are going through different experiences, hormones, whatever, at those different times. I think middle school is really tough because a lot of children don't necessarily know what they're feeling and they project certain things to other children and they're not always the nicest, so it's a lot of when I have my middle son, he's my artist. So he feels a lot. And it's a lot of when he comes home and he's upset because someone said something or said something a certain way and having to change his frame of thought about it. It's a lot of work as a parent, right? Like to truly dig deep and help them get out of the funk that they might have been in because of what happened in school, because they're there 8 hours out of the day. So it is tough. It's tough. And for us, my husband and I talk about all the time, like having 3 kids in 3 different schools, it's not just the logistics, it's the emotions that each of them are going through at these times. So it's not easy, but we signed up to be parents. So we signed up for the hard work.
and you're doing as good a job as anybody can do because, and there's so much, it's hard because there's so much when they're out of your life for 8 hours a day. So there's a limited amount of influence that you can have during that particular time. And a lot of bad stuff can happen during that time.
Yeah, it's very true. And you realize that you don't have as much control as you'd like as a parent. I was talking to my mom about it today because she was with me for the New Year for the weekend. And I said, I realized like I don't have the control over everything and I have to just let it go and realize that bad things can happen. And I can't do anything about that. I'm only in control of how I react to it. I pray and I think positively, but I have to understand the reality that someone might hurt my kids' feelings and that might impact how they feel, for months or years or something that they revert back to. But I can only control what I can control and try to be a positive influence. And even as a parent, sometimes we don't have good days as parents, right? Like there's days where I'm like, oh, I should have, I could have handled that better, or maybe
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like that's part of that too. So it is a constant.
Wait until your kids get to be 30 and they will then start bringing up stuff that you have no idea what they're talking about. But they say, I remember when you did that. I did no such thing. Yes, you did.
Can I blank that out? What are you talking about? Like, yeah, no, this adventure of parenting is no joke. Like it really is. It's an adventure with lots of ups and downs.
And if you can get through the teenage years with your children thinking that you're still an intelligent human being, you've done better than most of us.
So what's your advice, Kevin, for that, since you've gone through that?
Wait till you're 30, because then they'll figure out that you're not as dumb as they thought you were.
You're like, oh, Mom, you were right. Dad, you were right. Do they come back and say that?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. And then they start seeking advice, and then that's when you say, I have no idea. What would your father say? And or something along the. Oh, and the other thing is keep your checkbook and your wallet close to your vest, because they will be coming for it at one point.
And my mom is like, you're always a parent. It never stops.
No,
it's like it never ends.
But the one piece of advice that I could give, if to parents out there, if you've got kids that are getting into their 20s and they have the ability to make their own decisions about stuff, do not say to them, this is what I think you should do because I'm your father. I never have said that to them. What I say to them is, I'm your trusted advisor. If you want my advice, it's here for you. If you don't, fine. I'm not gonna offer you unsolicited advice, because you're not going to take it anyway. You're going to do what you want to do. But if you want some advice, I know that you know that I've been down this road before, and so I can help you if you choose to. But I don't force it on them either. Now, my former wife, on the other hand, it still says, I'm your mother and this is what you should do, and they don't listen at all. So that would be my
really good advice, Kevin.
But that's only when they get old enough. Like, I had a cousin one time that said he had a 13-year-old boy, and he said, I don't know what happened, but when he turned 13, he rolled over when he was sleeping and his brains fell out of his head.
I get that. My eldest, I feel like from 13 to 15. No, it was really like 11 to 14. It was like a weird time. And then all of a sudden it just clicked and he came back. Afterwards. And I was like, yeah, you're back again. There's my kid for a period of time. We'll see how long that lasts, but it's interesting how they kind of become aliens.
Yeah, they do. Well, and with the and I can't imagine what it's like today, because with the amount of information that they're carrying around with them on their phone, the amount of access that they've got to so many websites that they don't need to have access to, and things like that, it's a completely different world than it used to be, and so it's hard to navigate as a parent through any of that, because they kind of have a phone.
TikTok says that I'm like, really? Can we just clarify that TikTok isn't always right? There's some good information on TikTok. But you need to fact check that. It's funny. You're parenting against the internet.
Yeah, I have a friend that is a conspiracy theorist. And I said, so where did you get this information? She said, well, I saw it on the internet. And it's like, oh yeah, there's a good source of information for you. Did you check where that came from? Well, no, it was on the internet. And so it's like,
take it as true.
Yeah, they take it as true, and John F. Kennedy Jr. probably is not running around today. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy the amount of conspiracy theories that are out there. That's a whole other show.
And see, that's generally speaking, that's a show that I don't get into much, because you can go down that rabbit hole and you can never come out.
I agree. I definitely agree. I have some family members that are down that rabbit hole.
Well, me too. But by the way, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I hope you have.
I really have. No, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
You're an awesome lady. And by the way, go get the book. I Believe in Me. It's out now, right?
It's out. You can actually get it on my website. www.ibelieveinmedou.com, where you can purchase the hardcover and the paperback. You can also get it on Amazon, but just the paperback is on Amazon. I also have, and I haven't marketed this yet, but I have the digital audio version of it as well. It's an animated audio version.
Oh, cool.
On my website that they can stream. So.
Oh, that is way cool. Have you thought about doing a podcast?
There's so many ideas that I have, Kevin, that people have brought, you brought that to me and I brought up, but it's really just trying to fit it in, because I have a full-time career. And this is truly my passion project. Like I have self-funded this, because I think it's important. I think the message is important.
You and me both, sister.
So,
I'm self-funding this as well, and it's because I believe in the message, and that's why it's important for me to have people like you on to talk about your book and what you believe in, because I keep telling authors this, and I don't know if they believe me or not, but I say, what's going to happen is in 2 or 3 years, your book is going to be on a shelf and somebody's going to pick it up, or it's going to be in a secondhand bookstore and they're going to pick it up and they're going to find such value in it. And you'll never know who they are. You'll never meet them unless they're bright enough to send you an email or something. But a lot of times they're not going to do that. But you're impacting the world in a way that you'll never know, but just know that you are.
I appreciate that. I really, really do.
It's really important. Let's go through your information again. If you want to go to her website, it's IBelieveInMeDoYou.com. And you can find out all the information there. And can they still pick up, are your records anywhere in the stores? Can the people go buy them or on Spotify or something?
Oh, no. So that's another project that's on my to-do list, because I know that I can upload them, but there's a whole bunch of other things that I have to do. But I do think probably, I would say before 2025, give me a couple of years, that I will have that all together.
Well, just take your time. You've got 3 kids is a monumental task, and keeping your family together and having a good time, and it's hard. So I applaud you for stepping back and not saying, I can have both. I can have the career and I can raise the kids and I can do, because it's really hard to do.
The balancing act. And I am very conscious of that balancing act that I have to keep in mind.
Now, how long did you go to school to get into tech?
I actually went to school for sociology and finance. I got into technology on a whim. So I had an opportunity, like I cold called a company and I wanted to learn, and I believed that I could do it. So it's not something I went to school for. It's something that I identified as I actually looked up the statistics for the career growth. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn it. And I did it.
Boy, I got to tell you, not only are you a beautiful woman and you've got a great set of pipes, but you're smart too.
Thank you.
And you've done really well. It's been my pleasure to have you on the show. And will you come back and see me sometime?
I definitely will. Just let me know when.
And if Kelly ever calls you, and can I come hold your coat?
You can definitely come.
I'm
hoping. It's funny. Like I was saying, I'm like, I definitely have to reach out to her.
She'll with this book, she would have you on in a heartbeat.
I know. I just haven't reached out yet, but I'll definitely do that. That is a plan for the new year.
23 is going to be a great year for you.
And I hope it's a great year for you as well.
It is going to be a great year. We've got lots of stuff going on, and we're growing, and it's great fun. And I really enjoyed having you on. By the way, before we go, we've got probably a minute and a half. I want to give you the opportunity. I'm going to step over here aside, and I want you to talk to our audience about anything that's on your heart that you would like them to know. Those that are listening now, and those that are going to be listening in the future.
Well, I will say, if there is anything, like it's the beginning of the year, Happy New Year, if there is anything that's been weighing on your mind, anything that you feel like you want to do, just do it. Take a step, whether it's big or small, and take steps towards your dreams, because it's never too late.
I couldn't agree more. And, I started this 20 years ago. And I had to give it up for a number of years because I had to go, I don't know, like make a living. And I did that. And now I'm doing this again. And I'm not a young spring chicken. I'm 65 years old, but I'm going to be doing this for.
So that's amazing.
Well, thank you. So I'm 65 and I'm going to be doing this for a very long time because I love it and I love talking to people like you and I love the fact that you can impact people that you meet. And you do that every day, don't you?
I hope so. You never know. Like, I hope I do. I hope, I know I get impacted by people every day. So I hope that I'm reciprocating that.
I try and the only time I have really a problem is when I'm driving. But other than that, I try and be nice to everybody. Well, it's not that I'm not nice to people when I'm driving, but I'm appalled at their behavior while I'm driving, if that makes any sense.
Like my husband, he tries to teach people, like he'll you're not supposed to go through that light. And he'll beep at them. I'm like, they might not learn their lesson. He's like,
nope.
I'm like, okay.
They'll just look at you like, I don't know what his problem is. So anyway, again, we have been talking with Christina Cewe. And I want to thank you again for being here. And by the way, we'll be here. Let's see, today's Monday. We'll be here Wednesday at 4. And by the way, be kind to one another because, each other's all we've got. We'll see you Wednesday at 4 p.m.